One day, on his way to the market, he saw a vacancy post right in front of a big electronics shop. He went in there, met Emeka, one of the sales boys, who attended to him so calmly. Ifeoluwa started by saying, "Please ignore what I'm putting on. I am 100% sane. I carry loads on my head in the market, and that's why I am dressed this way. And I was on my way to the market when I saw the vacancy, and I decided to come check if I will be employed." Emeka said, "Well, we need another sales boy because one of us have gotten a better offer. Our boss is in his office, but I don't know if, you know what I'm trying to say now. You are dressed the way you dress." Ifeoluwa said, "I understand perfectly what you mean, but please help a brother. I fall sick incessantly because of the stress I undergo. This will mean a lot, not just to me, but to my father and mother. Help me water the ground by talking to your boss." Emeka then said, "Hold on, let me see what I can do." He then said to Emeka, "Let him in. Let me have a word or two with him." Ifeoluwa was already worried because Emeka was staying long in the office, and he thought he has been left, as some people usually do when they don't want to give you an outright no, to stay there and leave whenever he got tired. At that time, he looked at the time. It has gone and he would have made nothing less than 200 naira since he sat there. He told himself, a bird at hand is worth more than 1,000 in the bush. Just when he was in the valley of decision of either staying or going to the markets, Emeka came out and said to him, "Please follow me." That word alone was like a cold water poured into a troubled soul. He wore a smiling face and followed. Said to him, "Don't worry, take this 1,000 naira, go and buy soap and wash your clothes. Please, you owe anybody that will come in close contact with you a pleasant smell. Let's help ourselves in stopping global pollution. Please take your leave." "Thank you so much, sir," Ifeoluwa kept saying until he left his office. Through his 16 years on earth, his father had not made that amount at a stretch. Ifeoluwa simply carried the board where the vacancy was written. He cleaned it and handed the board over to Emeka, and they started laughing. Emeka called him smart boy, and Ifeoluwa said, "My brother, I don't want to hear Mbatio when I return tomorrow. Ife, my son, I usually see myself as a failure whenever you leave this house to hustle for an urgent 2K and still use it in feeding for us. You turned into a full-grown man overnight because we couldn't afford to give you a good life as a child. You may not know, my child, I rarely sleep at night. My mind is occupied. We thought of what to do to at least afford the basic things of life. You know that big electronic shop on the way to the market?" His mother asked, "Big electronic shop?" "Yes, mommy. That big upstairs by the left." Okay. Chijoke and Sons," his mother said. "Exactly," Ifeoluwa said. "I was on my way to the market this morning when I saw vacancy post. I quickly entered though, and I've been employed to resume tomorrow." "Just like that?" his mother asked. "Yes, mommy," Ifeoluwa responded. "And you won't believe it though. My boss said he will be paying me 30,000 naira monthly." "Yay, 30,000 naira? His mother started crying and said, "I saw that amount of money last before you were born." Life. The next morning, Ifeoluwa, who became an automatic timekeeper, was there before anyone else. He stood outside for close to 45 minutes before Emeka came. Emeka shouted and said, "Oh boy, you are very serious oh." He shook him and said, "Welcome." Ifeoluwa said to him, "Who no get helper, suppose get sense." They laughed over it. He opened the shop and they arranged it for the day's sale. Ifeoluwa was instructed on what to do, and he was obedient to the call. After 1 week, Emeka discovered he wears just 2 clothes and he gifted him 5 more polos and 3 trousers. Ifeoluwa started crying and Emeka said, "Why are you crying? You don't like them? Is it because they are not new?" "No," Ifeoluwa said. "I am only crying because this is the first time since I can remember that I've been gifted." Later that day, 2 young boys came in to purchase a lot of electronic gadgets that costed above 5 million naira. Ifeoluwa was just looking at them because the boys seemed to be 2 to 3 years older than him, and he wondered how they got the money. When they were done, Emeka prepared their invoice and then gifted them 10,000 naira and left. Emeka gave Ifeoluwa his own share. Ifeoluwa stood in awe and said, 5,000 naira just like that? Do you know how many loads I would have carried before getting this? Emeka said, "This is small now. Sometimes I go home with 15,000 naira just from tips like this. That's what we gain here and not the salary." Ifeoluwa shouted, "Ogo! So this is a new era. Thank God I didn't allow the way I dressed that day to deprive me of this job." One day, his father went to the site and fell off from the building during construction and broke his waist. He was rushed to the hospital by his co-workers. This chattered Ifeoluwa so well because he was left with no other option than to pool his savings for his father's hospital bills. He couldn't watch his father die while money was cooling off in his savings account. One day, one of those young boys came again to purchase electronic gadgets worth almost 6 million naira. And Ifeoluwa was moved to ask where he wants to drop them because he had purchased some of these things few months ago. The boy said to him that this time around, he was sending everything to his mother. Ifoluwa said to him, "Bros, I admire this kind of life that you are living. Can I have 10 minutes of your time outside the shop? Because I wouldn't want Emeka to hear what we are saying." "That's fine," the young guy said to him. So they excused themselves to a lonely place not too far from his workplace. Now, Ifoluwa kept begging the young guy. And the young guy said to him, "You may see me spending money and putting on designers. But deep down, my friend, I am not happy. And I wish to be like you. The cost of the life that I'm living now is very expensive. And I may be wiped out of the surface of the earth any moment. But at least you have enjoyed life now," Ifoluwa said. "Whatever the cost is, I am equal to the tax." "Are you sure?" the young guy asked. This question was asked for like 3 times. And same 3 times, Ifoluwa answered he was ready. Then the boy gave him an address to meet him the next day. Ifoluwa was grateful and he returned back to work. When he got inside, Emeka asked where he went to all this while. And he answered him that he just sat alone somewhere to cool off his head as his father's condition was beginning to get to him. Emeka smiled and said to him, "Ifoluwa, my friend and brother, I can see only desperation in your eyes. And I need to tell you this that I've never said before. Come and sit here." They both sat down together. And Emeka said to him, "I am 28 years old. I know you will be surprised because I don't look it. But at least the way I act should convince you a bit. I am the last child of the family of 6. The state of your poverty is nothing compared to mine then. I spoke out of experience. I have walked through that path and I can clearly tell you that there is nothing satisfying on that route. You see those things you see on movies? They are real. The kingdom of darkness, as the name implies, is dark and will only darken your spirit. I knew I became transformed by 2 a.m. because what entered into my body was so heavy and it made me cold. By 4 a.m., the native doctor came to carry me out to a junction and he baited me. He said the water came from corpses in the mortuary and that I will pay heavily when the money starts flowing. The remaining water, I drank it. That was the point of no pulling out or returning back. After 2 weeks, once I press my computer like this, pam, 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 and make demands, my clients will respond without looking back. I began to bawl. My family became alright. I went back to the Baba and appreciated him so well. But my brother, I couldn't find sleep because once I closed my eyes, terrible nightmare. I went back to the Baba. He said it was normal and he had absolutely no idea on what to do about it. That day, he said to me that I'll be sacrificing, but I shouldn't worry because my presence wasn't needed, that he would do it himself. The next day, I received the news that left me in a forever state of regret. My precious mother collapsed and died. Although she was given a befitting burial because the money was there. But deep down, I knew I killed her. Life became meaningless. The money became valueless. I withdrew all the money in my account, sold all my cars, and went straight to the Baba and appreciated him with all the money. I located a true church and explained everything to the pastor. And he placed me on a 7 days dry fasting. My brother, if you see me during deliverance section, I was behaving like a dog, a cat, a snake, different things. Only God delivered me. And since then, my peace was regained. And I can tell you that I have decided never to trade my peace with anything. I have decided since then to walk on the right path. The little one I collect here is more satisfying than the one the devil gave me. I don't know what to say to you, but thank you. Your brother had already planned on taking another route, the same route you just explained. I was discussing with that young guy that came here, although he said that the cost of their lifestyle is expensive. But I didn't know it was this expensive. And after 2 days, he came to work, and his boss gave him 50,000 naira to go get things for his father. On his way to the hospital, he saw people gathering. He was curious to know what happened, only to discover that same guy he had a conversation with came out of his car, pulled off his clothes, and started behaving insanely. He stood there moping. Nobody knew that God saved him from selling his destiny father had passed. Instead of crying, he started laughing and said, "So this man wouldn't have made it alive after all, and I wanted to sell my soul." He took his mother home and showed her the 50,000 naira his boss gave to him for his father. Went to meet their boss, brought out the 50,000 naira and said to him that his father had passed. "Chey!" his boss exclaimed. He was so pained. He sympathized with him and said he shouldn't hesitate in meeting him whenever he needed him for something. But the 50,000 naira had left his pockets and he won't take it back. His father was buried because there was no money anywhere for befitting burial. And after that, he resumed work immediately, only to meet 2 other young guys, and he became more troubled. At 12 noon, the boss called him and Emeka into the office and handed over checks of 2 million naira to them. They didn't understand what was going on. He drove them to their individual electronic shops, though not very big, but something they can build from. Ifoluwa could not believe his eyes. To think that his testimony was so close and he wanted to miss it the previous week. They thanked their boss so well, and he said to them, I know you'll be wondering why I'm doing this, since you are not my apprentice, that I should settle, but mere workers that have been earning from me. I only did this based on instruction that I received to make sure that I established the both of you. I used 1 million naira to establish his mom, and they all did well in business and flourished beyond their expectations. Emeka and Ifoluwa became closer. They traveled on business trips together, and together they bought acres of land, built an estate, and called it Ife Emeka Estates. They made it a yearly routine of blessing their boss every December. They got married same year and experienced blissful life, or what we can call heaven on earth lifestyle experience. The devil is spiritually intelligent, and that's why he keeps bringing people with ungodly counsel your way. And you know why he's doing that? Just to disalign you from that testimony that is one step away.